This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program created for and featuring teens, edited and hosted by the teen library staff.
Hi everyone, this is Melissa.
And Desiree.
Welcome to the guest episode of Teen Gen Talks.
Today's guest has worked for the Glendale Library Arts and Culture for 6.5 years and has been working in libraries for a total of 15 years. Prior to working in Glendale, he worked for the Santa Fe Springs Public Library. He received his bachelor's degree in pure mathematics from Cal State University of Long Beach and his master's degree in library information science from Drexel University in 2017.
Grab a snack and drink, and let's welcome David to Teen Gen Talks. Thank you, David, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, no problem.
So to start the interview off, let's take this back to your college years. You mentioned that you received your BA in pure mathematics. Can you let the viewers at home know what that is exactly?
Yeah, sure. So pure mathematics is literally just it's just mathematics. So nothing really special about it if you're really into math, which I know many are not, but I was pretty good at it in high school and just continued through. So there's different types of mathematics once you get up into your major. Just beyond pure mathematics, you can do mathematics with education. There's something called applied mathematics, and there's a few other ones. And I was just interested mainly in just, I guess it's kind of like generic or regular, but like to spruce it up, it's pure. So pure just meaning that there's nothing special about what you studied. It's just mathematics in general.
So how did you get into pure mathematics?
It's a long story, but I guess I can tell you like a fun anecdote about it. But first, I'll say that I was always good at math, and when I went to college, I went to Long Beach City College, and then I transferred to Cal State Long Beach. But in my transfer, you had to submit what you wanted your major to be, and I really wasn't sure. I thought engineering, but I hadn't taken any engineering classes, so I was like, I don't know, like. I'll just put math because I've taken a math class every semester. I don't know what else I want to do yet, so I'll just put math, and I can always change it later. So fast forward to like one of the most difficult math classes that decides your fate if you're going to be a math major or not. And our math teacher, he's like, this is going to be a really hard class at the beginning of the class, and he's like, I understand, not everybody's gonna go and get their master's degree in math. Some people, they want to be teachers, but they want to teach math, so you're going to have to take this class. And he's like, if you fail, you can always go to engineering like all the other math rejects. And I go, excuse me? I mean, he was talking to the whole class. But I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to be a math reject. Not to say that engineers or engineer majors are rejects at all, but he was just trying to play a little, just joking around with us. But I took it a little bit too hard, I guess. And so I just decided, I'm going to stick this through. I'm going to pass this class, and then I'm going to get my degree in math. And I think that that's where that came from. I was always thinking about going into teaching as well. Mm-hmm. So when I got my degree, I was thinking about going back and getting my teaching credential. But yeah, so that's where me going into mathematics came from.
After graduating, what did you do with pure math?
So that was always the question, like, was I going to go back for my teaching credential? I could have still probably got into engineering a little bit, but I would have probably had to go back and study a little bit further. I was really lost. There was some stuff I could do, working in an insurance firm, calculating like probabilities of risk and things like that, and that did not sound fun to me. I was always wondering, should I go back and get my teaching credential? But then I started to get into working in technology. And that's where I was like, this is cool. And I had taken some computer science classes in college, and I really enjoyed those. So I kind of knew, maybe if I had done things differently, I probably would have done computer science from the beginning. But I knew that I would have an okay transition because oftentimes math and computer science overlap or intersect pretty frequently. So I knew if I did that, a lot of times the jobs say, computer science, degree in computer science or a related field, and math was close enough that I could make that leap. So once I kind of felt like, I like this computer science thing, I felt like, yeah, I can make that jump, and it would take some effort, but it would work for my degree.
What was your experience like at Cal State Long Beach?
So I didn't live in the dorms or anything. So I was working full time actually. I was actually working for a library system, working full time there, and then I was doing school full time. That was really tough for me because I also lived on my own, so I was supporting myself. It was pretty tough, but it was enjoyable. I think I probably could have got a little bit better grades than I did because I was kind of my focuses were spread so like thinly. I also played soccer in college, and I was at one point the treasurer and the vice president of our. It's not a like a legion squad, like it's not a division like a division team. It was a club team. But we had a budget and we had all this these things that we had to schedule and stuff. So I was in charge of that too. So all of my like I was kind of a little bit all over the place in that way. So like my focuses weren't completely on work or soccer or school.
Mm-hmm.
So I could have done better if I was a little bit more focused or just had one thing on my mind. But it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I was happy to be done, but it was a good experience for sure.
What is something you learned during your college years that kind of spoke to you, I guess?
The independence isn't always like a good thing. Like when you're in like high school, you have like this is your schedule, this is what you're going to do every day, and then like when you're in college, you're like I can pick whatever schedule I want. If I don't want to go to school like only for 1 day a week or 2 days a week, I'll just go do it. But then it's like you have to weigh those options. So yeah, you have all this independence, but is it going to? You have to also have the discipline with that independence to be able to like still continue to go to school, like because you can ditch, like no one's going to stop you, but then also you're paying for it. So there's so to me it was like yeah, I have all this independence, but I need to be responsible and really put my efforts out there. And I think I could have done a little bit better, but I graduated and I did decent, so I was happy with that. And yeah, so I think that's probably one thing that I learned.
So besides working at your various jobs at restaurant, what other fields did you dabble?
So really, I didn't dabble much. Like I wasn't sure. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. I really didn't. But while I was in school, after working at that restaurant, I applied for a job at a library that was close by, and I started working there after I got hired. I just really liked it. At first, it was a little slow because I was just shelving books, and that was about it. But then they started to allow me more responsibilities. Helping with programming, helping people with computers, um, checking out books to people, and then it started to become a little bit more challenging, and I started to enjoy it a lot more. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like I had a good time in libraries, and I didn't really have a path necessarily, but I felt like yeah, this is something I could see myself doing. I didn't know where I would find myself in it, or I never really felt like oh I want to be a librarian or I want to work in libraries. But when I started to do it, I really like when I was helping people find what they were looking for, connecting people to resources, that felt good, and I liked that feeling. And so that's where like I didn't know what I wanted to do, but when I started doing that, I was like, well, maybe there's something here.
After doing various jobs and getting your BA in pure mathematics, how did you end up pursuing librarianship and end up getting your master's degree in library information science from Drexel University in 2017?
So that's a good question. Like I said, I never really thought I was going to be a librarian. Like I got my degree in math, and my dad tells this story frequently. I don't remember saying this, but he apparently does, and he teases me that I always said I'm never going to be a librarian. That's what he told me. He said, you always used to say I'm never going to be a librarian. So then how am I here a librarian? The answer is this is similar to what I talked about earlier, is that I was already in libraries. And I think I just thought of librarians as like one dimensional. Like they sit in front of a desk and you come up to them and they say, hey, how can I help you? And you're like, I'm looking for this book. And they go, okay, let me show you where that book is. Or can you give me a recommendation? And that was just not my thing. Like I wasn't into that. I mean, I did do some of that work and I enjoyed helping people, but I just couldn't see myself doing that specific task because that's what I thought it was. Even working in libraries, I still didn't know. Like I guess I thought the librarians, there was only one type of librarian because I wasn't a librarian. But then as I moved over to, I've been working in Glendale for a little while. I moved into working in IT, and I realized, there are technology librarians, there's outreach librarians, there's all sorts of librarians, there's innovations librarian, there's all sorts. And so I realized, it's not as one-dimensional as I thought, and I really do think that I can make an impact because I have been working in technology, and there's not that many librarians that are technology librarians out there, and there's a need. Mm-hmm. There's a need for libraries to adapt and evolve with technology, and so I can be that player in the library world. I can help with that. And I was also thinking about moving up in the library world, and I realized that a lot of the jobs in the upper level positions required a master's in library information science. So I go, if I want to move up in the library world and I feel like I have good ideas and can make an impact, that's where I feel I can make the most impact. So I got to go back to school and get my master's degree in order to be able to do that. So I finally, after some coercing from my family, my coworkers, I went back to school and got my master's.
How did you know Drexel University was like the right school to get your master's from?
So like I told you earlier, I didn't have the best grades. I could have done better. So a lot of the schools, when you want to go back for your master's, so if anyone is listening and thinking like, I may want to go back and get my master's degree down the road, you have to have a certain GPA to be able to apply for a master's program, and that's important to note. So I didn't have that GPA. I think I had like a 2.8, which is not terrible, but it's not great. And most of them require at least a 3.0 or a 3.2 or 3.3 or above. So that's actually a pretty high GPA. So when I started looking at a bunch of different schools, a lot of them were, if you have a 3.0 or above, you can take a GRE, which is a placement test for graduate school, and then we'll let you in as long as you pass that. I didn't have that option. And then some schools were like, if you have a 3.3, you can enter school without even taking the GRE from your bachelor's. I didn't have that option. So my only options were go back to school to try and raise my GPA up by taking other courses, or Drexel was one of the few schools that I found that was saying, you need to have a 3.0. However, if you don't and you have work experience already, and you can get some recommendations from some people in the library world that say you deserve to be in this program, and you take the GRE, we will definitely consider you. So I got some good recommendations from some previous supervisors and ones that I had currently when I applied. And I took the GRE and I passed it. I had to study for that as well. But then I was accepted. So my choices were limited, I guess. So I guess that was the reason why I chose it. But it ended up being a good fit for me. It's based out of Philadelphia, so it was all online, and I was sort of interested in that aspect of it. And I didn't really necessarily want to go do classes in person because I was working full time. So it was good in that sense too, because being able to do it all online allowed me the flexibility to work my full-time job at the same time.
Do you think having a master's now is important?
Yeah, I think it depends. There's a lot of good degrees that are out there that are useful. I think that the world is sort of changing in some ways in that regard, and then in some ways it's not. I think, sort of now it's important to make sure that you go to school and get your bachelor's, because so many positions out there now are requiring a minimum of a bachelor's. In fact, I was one of my jobs as a library assistant required a bachelor's degree as a library assistant, which is kind of a big deal. A master's degree, it really depends on what you're trying to go into. Librarianship does require a master's degree, so in that sense, yes, it's important. But some of those positions are actually changing. I've seen that don't necessarily require it. But I think there are many things that you could be doing. If you don't want to go to get a master's degree, there's plenty of different trades or online schools that you can go to that aren't equivalent to a master's level, that are just as relevant in finding jobs in this world.
So you mentioned you've worked in the library system for quite some years now. Do you have like a favorite memory or like a favorite part about working in libraries?
I mean, I have many. One of the things that I used to do that I don't do any longer is I used to do homework help. And that was you're laughing. Maybe it's because you can't imagine me doing it, but I actually really enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed it a lot. We had grades 3 to 6 originally, and because I had just got my degree, or I was probably still studying at that time, in math. So we ended up expanding it for math people who had math questions all the way up to grade 12. So helping kids with their homework, it was really gratifying for me, and they're so sweet and most of the time innocent at that point. So it was just really nice to be helping these kids that were in need. I guess another thing that I don't know, I liked also, we did a First Friday thing at my old job where they would do some cultural event, and they used to feed us. So that was kind of cool. So if you worked the event, they'd get you a nice dinner. So that was like a fond memory. We'd always get it really fed really nice for this specific event. And then you get to see some sort of cultural performance like flamenco dancers or some like really cool drummers or just a bunch of different types of cultural experiences. And that was a lot of fun as well.
You were mentioning how like you worked and went to school, and like do you have any advice for teens that are like, you know, like once they get into college or in college, I guess too, like do you have any advice where you could give them how to balance everything out?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think, you have to have a little bit of everything, right? You have to be disciplined enough to be able to say like, okay, I need to be focused on school, and so you have to cut away or separate some time specifically for school. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Work, you're probably going to be disciplined in that anyways, right? It's work, you're getting paid for it, so you're gonna show up and you're gonna do your job there. But being able to step away from both of those things too, like having some time for your friends and family, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
and like going out and just having a good time. So like when I went back for my master's, it was really important to me to reserve some time for fun, whatever that would be. Maybe hanging out with my friends, hanging out with my family. So I was very, very focused and disciplined. So after work, I would get off, and from 6:30 till 10, Monday through Thursday, I would work on school every single night, and that's hard. But you have to be disciplined to be able to do it. And then what that allowed me to do is be a little bit more flexible. So on the weekends, maybe I would do a little bit of work in the mornings, and then I'd go play or go to the beach, go hang out with my friends, hang out with my family. So I think you should be disciplined, but also have some flexibility and understand like you can have fun and you can still be disciplined enough to be able to
Mm-hmm.
do your work. It's hard, and but also think like it's only 4 years of school, and it's not going to be the most ideal scenario where you can go play and have fun the whole time, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, after you get through those 4 years, you're done, and then you have all this free time to be able to do whatever you wanted to do.
So from all the schooling, what was your favorite course you took in college?
That's a good question. um, I really liked computer science classes, so I mean, one course would be tough. I guess if I'm thinking recently, this is gonna totally geek out from like be geeking out, and most people are gonna be like not interested. But I really like databases because I work with library systems as it is, so I got to like create my own database. So we did like a car dealership kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
we for our final project, and we got to create like a list of cars and sales representatives and customers, and like how does it all interact with each other. And so that was really fun, but it's totally a geeked answer for sure.
What is some advice for someone who doesn't know what career path they want to take, or is just, struggling with like deciding?
I mean, I think the answer, and I have cousins that are just graduating high school, two cousins that just graduated, and we've had similar conversations. But I think it's important to know it's okay to not have the answer. When you're 18 years old, to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life, I don't feel like that's fair to ask of somebody. I think it's fair to say, hey, what are you interested in? What do you like? And some people, they're gonna know. They're gonna know, like, oh, I've always, since I was little, wanted to do this, and they'll find a way to do it for their entire life, and they'll enjoy it. But I don't think everyone's like that. Like I wanted to be a pilot, an airplane plane pilot when I was little, but it didn't seem intriguing enough when I got to the point where I could choose that as a career. So just understand it's okay to not know, but also be proactive in trying to figure it out. College is a great opportunity to take a bunch of different courses that will allow you to find your interests. And that's what I always tell like my cousins and other people that are asking me that, like, you have a great opportunity in college to take, you know, a broad range of courses that that could help you find your interests. And if I had taken a computer science course in junior college before I transferred, I probably would have known right then and there, this is what I want. Because when I was doing it in, I took a couple of classes for my for my bachelor's degree. I really enjoyed it, but I was so far along toward my degree in math that it wouldn't have made sense to try and go back at that point. So yeah, it's okay to not know, but just try and take a proactive approach. Try and see what different paths you can take, and what are you interested in, and within each different path, like I just said, even as a librarian, there's different paths within that too. So trying to find where you fit in and where you take joy, that's a good thing to do.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions to ask you. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is purple, believe it or not.
What is some advice that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
You know, when people say like you can do anything, I think that's really good advice, but I would qualify it. I'd say you can do anything, but you have to be willing to work for it. And if you're willing to work for it, you can. But putting that effort in there, you'll make it happen, but you just have to put in that effort.
Describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Oh, 3 words. Okay. I think obnoxious and annoying and like a nerd, I guess.
Who's your first celebrity crush?
Oh, Jennifer Love Hewitt was my first celebrity crush.
Do you have a recent celebrity crush?
Elizabeth Olsen, and I've been teasing my fiance about it, and I don't know why she gets jealous, but I'm like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth Olsen, so like amazing, and she hates it. So then of course I have to rub it in even more.
So if you could visit any place around the world, what place would it be?
That's a great question. Machu Picchu in Peru. It's on my bucket list. I'm going to go. I just haven't gone there yet, and I will go. I'm looking forward to going eventually.
What is a book that you have recently read or are currently reading that you would recommend?
So the book I'm currently reading is called Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow, but I'm barely into it, so I can't say whether I recommend it or not just yet. But I've heard it's great. I've heard it's really good.
Thank you so much, David. We have learned a lot about you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. Can you let everyone at home know about upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
Sure. Most of my stuff's on like not necessarily visible, but like I'm working right now on the curbside pickup website and trying to update that and make it a little bit better. In fact, we're going to be making some changes very soon. So by the time this pops up, probably already been done. I'm around once we reopen. I'll be at Montrose Library. And if you really, really want to see my website and see what I'm all about, you can visit zearbaugh at .com.
Thank you so much, David. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you.